Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolitz. Hoping that you will not skip my ads, it's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
The air was thick with tension as Zane Martel faced his opponent, his expression hardening.
Go to hell.
Zane Martel could feel the pressure mounting from his adversary. Confident in his abilities, he knew no one within the first stage of the advanced level could match him. Even someone at the second stage was beneath him.
Wind Serpent Step.
He moved like the wind, effortlessly evading the attack. No matter how hard the first elder tried to pursue him, he couldn't lay a finger on Zane Martel.
If you're so capable, stop trying to run. Fight me head on. Why do you still want to run after killing so many people of my 1,000 Insects sect?
Okay, come on.
The Tianyuan sword formation ignited around Zane Martel, encircling the first elder.
In return, you shouldn't run either.
With a swift wave of his hand, Zane Martel unleashed a barrage of overbearing sword energy from all directions. His silver body gleamed as he gripped the Black Abyss sword, ready to face the first elder head-on. A massive, terrifying force surged through the air. Zane Martel's sword struck the first elder's arm, cutting into his blood energy and nearly penetrating his flesh.
How can he be this strong, even with my martial spirit?
The first elder's panic grew as Zane Martel's strength became undeniable. Zane Martel tore the first elder's body into pieces with a dazzling sword shadow. A martial spirit burst from the first elder's body, fleeing rapidly while vowing vengeance.
Lin Sha, right? Remember this. I will repay you 100 times over for today.
Surrounded by a bloody light, the martial spirit vanished in an instant. Zane Martel watched it go, not bothering to give chase. Instead, he turned his attention to Katie, who was locked in battle nearby. Katie fought fiercely against two first-stage opponents, the outcome still uncertain.
Let me handle this.
In a flash, Zane Martel appeared beside one of the opponents. The Black Abyss sword's light exploded, cutting the adversary down. Zane Martel and Katie stood amidst the chaos of battle. The scent of blood thick in the air. The last opponent looked stunned, his eyes wide with shock.
How can you get distracted during a life-or-death battle? Die!
With a swift silver slash, Katie dispatched the final enemy. She turned to Zane Martel, surprise flickering across her face.
Lin Sha, you're so overpowered. As the Wolf Princess of Dark Wolf Hall, how can I compare to you?
She had always believed few could rival her. Yet Zane Martel, despite being at a lower stage, had no equal. Suddenly, screams echoed from the dense buildings of the 1,000 Insects sect. Dark clouds of insects filled the sky, swarming the sect's disciples and gnawing at the very structures.
The Green and Nurans are almost done. Let's find Eric Helm.
Zane Martel nodded, his body moving swiftly as he flew forward. Half an hour later, they captured a disciple of the 8th stage of the intermediate level. He fell to the ground, begging for mercy.
Please don't kill me. I can tell you everything you want to know.
Zane Martel's eyes were cold, his voice steady as he held a picture before the trembling disciple.
This person's name is Eric Helm. He was captured by your sect 3 months ago. Where is he now?
The disciple's eyes darted to the picture, his entire body shaking.
I don't know this person. There are too many people captured by the 1,000 Insects sect every day.
Zane Martel's frown deepened, his killing intent palpable.
Wait, don't kill me. I can take you to where we keep people locked up. Your friend may not be dead yet.
Really? Lead the way.
Zane Martel's heart soared with hope as they followed the disciple through the ruins of the 1,000 Insects sect. They navigated the crumbling pathways until they reached a dark, dismal dungeon. The air was thick and foul inside, the darkness almost tangible. At least 100 prisoners were held there, their clothes bloodied, their bodies frail. Zane Martel and Katie stepped into the dungeon, their eyes scanning the pitiful scene. The dungeon was dim and filled with the scent of decay. Zane Martel moved swiftly, searching the faces of the imprisoned, desperate to find Eric Helm. Suddenly, a familiar figure caught his eye in a corner cell.
Eric Helm.
Zane Martel was momentarily stunned before joy washed over him. Eric Helm was locked up with many disciples of the intermediate level, his eyes shut tight, head covered in blood from inhumane treatment. With a burst of strength, Zane Martell broke the iron chain and entered the cell, helping Eric Helm up and tapping his face gently.
I'm fine. I'm still breathing, but I'm weak.
Zane Martell sighed with relief. At that moment, Eric Helm's eyes fluttered open. He looked surprised, not recognizing Zane Martell in his current form.
It's me, Zane Martell.
Zane Martell, why are you here? Aren't you in the Green Cow Village? Have you also come to Eastern Jin?
Eric Helm stared at Zane Martell, bewildered. Meanwhile, Katie, who had been following, reacted strongly to the name.
Zane Martell? Isn't his name Lin Shaw? Why did he call him Zane Martell? No, Zane Martell is the death god of the Seven Kingdoms Alliance. Is he Zane Martell? Impossible, there must be a mistake.
Katie quickly dismissed her thoughts, unable to reconcile the two identities.
Enough. Let's just get you out of here first.
Zane Martell helped the weak Eric Helm up and tore apart all the cages, setting the others free. As the three of them rose into the air, Zane Martell retrieved his green Anurans, as well as Bai Shui and the others. Just as they were about to leave, Eric Helm's voice broke the silence.
Wait a minute. The Thousand Insects sect has hurt me so much and tortured me. I can't let this go so easily. Zane Martell, let's go. I'll take you to the place where the Thousand Insects sect stores its treasures.
Really? Do you know where it is?
Zane Martell's eyes lit up at the mention of treasure. Not long after, they reached the treasury of the Thousand Insects sect, killing the guards outside. Zane Martell smashed the heavy stone gate with a punch, revealing the treasures inside.
Zane Martell, it's been a while since we last met. Not only have you broken through to the advanced level, your strength has also increased greatly.
Behind the stone gate were piles of crystals, at least tens of millions. The room filled with divine weapons, cultivation books, elixirs, genuine energy artifacts, and even spirit animal eggs. This was the foundation of the whole sect, and even Katie, the Wolf Princess, was shocked. What treasures lay hidden among the piles? What power could they unlock? And what dangers awaited them next? In a world shrouded in ancient mysteries and martial prowess, the Thousand Insects sect, a notorious haven of villainy known for using poisonous insects, had finally met its match. It was a sunless dawn when Zane Martell, carrying vengeance and valor in equal measure, brought their century-old tyranny to a thunderous end. The sect's treasures, amassed over 100 years and worth a king's ransom, now lay securely in Zane Martell's grasp, distributed among 5 rings of storied might.
We've got what we came for. Let's get out of here.
As the sect's buildings, mere totems of their fallen glory, crumbled under Zane Martell's dismissive might, a silent witness to the wrath he wielded for his friend's sake. The air was thick with the dust of destruction, a poignant reminder of the impermanence of power. Frail yet unbowed, Eric Helm knew that was one of life itself. The devastation around them spoke volumes of the brutal but necessary actions taken. The once fearsome sect was now nothing more than a memory, its legacies confined to the whispers of the wind.
Zane Martell, thank you very much.
No need for thanks. We're even now.
A smile, brief and understanding, passed between the two, words unnecessary in the depth of their bond. They left the ruins behind, the sect's disciples scattering like chaff in the wind, the ground a grim tapestry of defeat and desolation. The early morning mist began to lift, revealing the full extent of the carnage. Broken weapons and torn banners littered the battlefield, a stark testament to the night's ferocity. But dark clouds gathered, even as our heroes savored their hard-won peace. High above the wrecked landscape, a lone figure, fueled by vengeance, and the fierce aura of a fifth-stage martial spirit surveyed the ruins from above. His silhouette dark stain against the graying sky, his presence foreboding, as if he were a storm personified. His bloodshot eyes, windows to a soul inflamed with revenge, missed nothing. They looked over the scattered debris, the bodies of fallen disciples, seeking the architect of his sect's downfall.
Sect leader, the culprit is Larry Shaw from the Dark Wolf Hall, and he's not alone.
Larry Shaw, I swear this isn't over.
The sect leader's voice, a menacing growl, carried across the winds, mingling with the cries of the injured and the bereaved. His figure, once imposing and regal, now seemed diminished against the expansive destruction his sect had suffered. Yet the fire in his eyes spoke of unyielding resolve, a promise of retribution that was as chilling as the dawn air. Below, unaware of the vengeful eyes marking their every move, Zane and Eric hastened their departure. The path before them was fraught with peril, the landscape a labyrinth of upturned earth and jagged rocks, reminders of the fierce battle that had raged through the night. Their footsteps were cautious, measured, as they navigated through the chaos, their minds burdened with the weight of what had transpired. Eric, his strength waning with each step, leaned heavily on Zane. The latter's arm was a steady presence around his friend, a silent vow of protection. Eric's mind was a whirl of gratitude and guilt. He knew that without Zane, his fate would have been sealed beneath the cold, uncaring stars.
How many have fallen so that we might walk free?
His voice, barely a whisper, was heavy with the cost of their survival. Zane offered no reply, his gaze fixed on the horizon. The weight of leadership sat heavily on his shoulders, a mantle as burdensome as it was honorable. Each decision he had made, each move he had orchestrated was with the singular purpose of safeguarding those he considered family. And as they reached the crest of a small hill, the first rays of the sun broke over the land, casting long shadows that seemed to echo the darkness of the night. The dawn light painted the world in hues of gold and amber, a stark contrast to the cold blue of the night that had sheltered their deadly deeds. Their journey was far from over. The road ahead promised more challenges, more enemies lurking in the shadows cast by their actions. Yet for a moment, on that hill, there was a pause. A quiet acknowledgement between the two of the bond forged in the fires of adversity. Unspoken, yet as palpable as the morning air around them. The world of martial prowess was unforgiving, a realm where the echoes of one's actions reverberated long and deep. As Zane and Eric disappeared into the landscape, the figure above made a silent vow. The end of the Thousand Insects sect was not the conclusion of this tale, but merely the prelude to a deeper, more entangled saga of vengeance and valor. The story of Zane Martel and the fall of the Thousand Insects sect would soon become the stuff of legend, whispered in awe and fear across the lands. But legends, much like the dawn, are merely the beginning of a new day and new battles to be fought. The saga was far from over, the echoes of the past destined to shape the future in ways none could foresee. The stage was set for retribution, the players unaware of the looming shadows. Meanwhile, back at the Dark Wolf Hall, gratitude and mysteries unfolded. Ever the honorable warrior, Zane Martel shared his spoils with Katie, who had helped them locate the sect.
Here, this is for you.
No, this is too much. I barely did anything.
Take it. Friends don't keep score.
The hall, filled with the soft glow of lanterns, echoed with the quiet sounds of warriors at rest. The weight of their recent victory lay around them like a heavy cloak, muffling their usual mirth. Katie, still flustered by Zane's generosity, tried to refocus on the tasks at hand. Yet her mind wandered back to the battle, the strategies and Zane's unyielding bravery. How he had navigated through peril with the precision of a seasoned general, his every decision bearing fruit in their favor. But amidst the camaraderie, an unintentional slip of the tongue by Eric Helm sparked confusion, his innocent call revealing a hidden truth.
Why did Eric Helm call you Zane Martel?
It's just a nickname from old times.
A murmur of laughter softened the tension, yet the question lingered in the air, a faint echo that refused to be silenced. Eric, nursing a wound at the far end of the hall, caught Zane's eye and nodded slightly, a silent acknowledgement of the deeper story yet untold. Their history was complex, a tapestry woven with loyalty and sacrifice that few could fully understand. The seeds of doubt were sown, yet trust prevailed for now. However, with its tangled webs, the past wasn't done with Zane Martel. As he applied ancient salves to Eric's wounds, the dim light casting deep shadows across his focused face, tales of betrayal surfaced, linking their fate to the nefarious Goodwill sect.
It's all because of the Goodwill sect. They set a trap and I walked right into it.
The Goodwill sect. They'll pay for this.
Zane's voice, usually calm and steady, now trembled with barely contained rage. The walls of the hall seemed to absorb his fury, the air growing thicker with the promise of storms to come. Outside, the wind picked up, carrying whispers of impending doom as leaves rustled like the skirts of fleeing ghosts. The night was settling in, heavy and ominous, as if mirroring the darkness burgeoning in Zane's heart. The revelation stoked the fires of vengeance anew, promises of retribution hanging heavy in the air. As the night drew close, a confrontation was brewing at Zane Martell's doorstep. The Dark Wolf Hall, usually a sanctuary of strength and strategy, now felt like the calm before a storm, its inhabitants tense and watchful.
It's Larry Shaw, he's here.
Larry Shaw, I've been waiting. Hand over the title of Wolf Prince or face the consequences.
And if I refuse?
What if I make you?
The air crackled with tension, the promise of conflict palpable. Outside, the moon was a sliver of silver against a backdrop of stars, its light casting long shadows across the ground, making the approaching figures look like specters rising from the earth. In the shadowed corners of a realm where power ruled supreme, Zane Martell found himself face to face with an adversary like no other. The air was thick with an almost palpable energy, a testament to both combatants' immense power. Zane's heart pounded in his chest as he took in the sight before him. A man with a head full of green hair, his eyebrows thin as whispers. But what drew Zane Martell's attention most was his vertical eyes that seemed to pierce through to his very soul, reflecting an ancient, malevolent intelligence. This was no ordinary man. He hovered at the peak of the advanced level's second stage, a formidable Demon Clan member whose very presence seemed to warp the atmosphere around him. The tension in the air was suffocating, the stakes higher than Zane had ever faced. The Demon Clan member, Black Viper, stopped in front of Zane Martell. With a disdainful glance, he sneered, the contempt in his eyes making Zane feel like nothing more than an insect. Zane's muscles tensed, his every instinct screaming at him to prepare for the inevitable confrontation. The eerie silence that followed Black Viper's arrival was broken only by the distant sounds of a world oblivious to the deadly clash about to unfold.
Mr. Damon asked me to deal with this piece of trash. Isn't it overestimating this guy?
Even Aaron, despite his status and usually unshakable demeanor, couldn't mask his reluctance to offend Black Viper. He nodded and bowed, his actions betraying a rare glimpse of desperation. Aaron's usual confidence was nowhere to be seen. Instead, he appeared small and insignificant next to the towering menace of Black Viper.
Black Viper, don't worry. Other than Larry Shaw, I won't be needing to bother you anymore.
Black Viper's eyes, cold and calculating, turned to Zane Martell. The intensity of his gaze was like a physical force, pushing down on Zane and making it hard to breathe.
Tell me, what will it take for you to give up your title as Wolf Prince? Mr. Damon has told me that if you aren't willing, I can break all your limbs.
Zane Martell's heart was a storm of confusion. The title of Wolf Prince, he had never aspired to such a title.
Title as Wolf Prince? Since when did I say I would accept that?
He thought. Klain had always pushed that title, never Zane Martell. His thoughts raced as he tried to comprehend the implications of Black Viper's words. Was this some kind of cruel joke, or was there a deeper, more sinister plot at play?
Get out of the way. Make way.
But Black Viper stood firm, a wicked smile spreading across his face as he relished the confrontation. The smirk on his face spoke volumes of his confidence and the pleasure he derived from the impending conflict.
Mr. Damon is clever. He knew you wouldn't give up easily. In that case, I have no choice but to teach you a lesson.
As Black Viper spoke, his body began to transform. The change was both horrifying and mesmerizing. Green scales emerged, glistening ominously under the dim light. A tail sprouted, coiling with a life of its own, and he exuded the breath of a snake, hissing and cold. He was revealing his true form as a member of the Snake Demon Clan, a transformation that made Zane's blood run cold. The transformation was grotesque, each scale clicking into place with a sound that echoed like bones snapping. Zane Martell's eyes brightened with a mix of astonishment and horror. He had heard tales of such transformations, but seeing it up close was an entirely different experience.
I didn't know there was such a transformation method.
He thought, a shiver running down his spine. The sight was surreal, the stuff of nightmares, and yet here it was, a horrifying reality. A shadowed fist, moving with the speed of a storm, came at Zane Martel. Reacting swiftly, Zane Martel threw a punch, their fists colliding with a thunderous force. The impact was cataclysmic, sending shockwaves through the ground and echoing in the stunned silence that followed. Both combatants flew backwards, each grappling with the sudden explosive clash of their power. They steadied themselves almost simultaneously, eyes locked, preparing for the next clash with a determination that spoke volumes. Zane Martel could hardly believe the raw strength he had just encountered. Black Viper is strong. Is this the power that a snake demon can possess? The question echoed in his mind, a mixture of awe and dread filling his thoughts. He had faced many formidable foes, but Black Viper's power was something else entirely, something beyond the ordinary battles he was accustomed to. The onlookers, a small crowd that had gathered despite the danger, gasped in surprise. Their whispers were filled with doubt and fear, a stark contrast to the confident murmurings that had accompanied the start of the duel. The sight of two titans clashing, each moment more intense than the last, was something that stirred both awe and terror in those who watched.
Could it be that even Black Viper is no match for him?
The disbelief in their voice was palpable, a reflection of the growing realization that this battle was far from ordinary.
If even Black Viper is no match for him, then doesn't that mean we're on the wrong side?
The battle intensified with every passing second. Black Viper's tail whipped through the air, creating a fierce hurricane of force that tore through everything in its path. Zane Martel's room was reduced to rubble, the destruction igniting a white-hot anger within him. The fury of the fight was matched only by the sheer destruction it wrought, each clash of power leaving behind a trail of devastation.
You like to fight that much? Very well. I will fight you to the death.
Zane's voice was a low growl filled with a fierce determination that mirrored the intensity of the battle. He was done holding back, every fiber of his being focused on the fight before him. Zane Martel, transformed into a silver cannonball of raw power, charged at Black Viper. Their battle was a whirlwind of blows, fists hitting flesh with sickening thuds, the air thick with the palpable force of their strikes. Each punch from Zane Martel was a testament to his strength and skill, causing Black Viper's scales to fall away, revealing bloody wounds beneath. The sight of blood only fueled the ferocity of their battle, each strike more brutal than the last. After what felt like an eternity of relentless fighting, both warriors were battered and bloodied. Black Viper, chest heaving and bloodied, realized he had underestimated his opponent. The realization was a bitter pill to swallow, the look in his eyes one of desperate resignation.
No, I won't fight anymore. Larry Shaw, I won't fight anymore. Let go of me.
The desperation in his voice was unmistakable, a stark contrast to the arrogance he had displayed at the beginning of the fight. But Zane Martel was not merciful. His palm struck out, emitting a dazzling golden light that filled the battlefield with an almost blinding brilliance. Black Viper was smashed into the ground with a force that left him unconscious, the finality of the strike leaving no room for doubt.
Aaron, this is the last time. If you stir up trouble with me again, you won't be as lucky as Black Viper.
Zane's voice was cold and unyielding, a clear warning to anyone who might think to challenge him again. As Aaron and his followers retreated, a sinister plan brewed in Aaron's mind. Only time would tell what the future held. But one thing was certain. Zane Martel would face it with courage and resolve, ready to meet any challenge head on. The battle might be over, but the war was just beginning, and Zane was ready to fight.